It's this simple. Truly, there's one arpeggio that's the best to learn and to use when you're playing jazz. When you learn to work with this arpeggio, you unlock a tremendous potential in your own playing. I'll show you how the greats Charlie Parker, Coltrane and Hank Mobley is working with this magic arpeggio. And of course we'll work on how you can apply this arpeggio directly into your playing and get immediate solo access to this great jazz sound. You probably won't believe me when I'm telling you this. It's the most simple, just a C major 7 arpeggio. You might think that I'm not telling the full truth here. And you might think that the greats are playing really crazy arpeggios. Like this, for example. No, they're not. Most of the arpeggios that the greats are playing are simple, plain 4-note arpeggios, either ascending or descending. And immediately when we see that the greats are using this arpeggio, we should realize that we need to practice only this arpeggio. Do not start with practicing the huge arpeggio shapes. Just start with the basic 4-note arpeggio, the 7th chords. Play them up and down the scales and get them into your fingers. And this will enable you to at any time add these into your solo playing and get this part of the jazz language that's so important that the greats are playing. Hank Mobley used this simple arpeggio to pull out the magic of this line. And immediately you can steal this and put it into your own playing. Make it personal just by playing that arpeggio of Hank Mobley. Steal his lick. Steal the sound of Hank Mobley. So we start out with the E minor arpeggio and the rest is basically just scaled down. Now when you look at this arpeggio, you see simple really works well. What you also might notice is that Hank Mobley is not playing C major directly. He's actually playing an E minor chord, not playing the C, but playing E, G, B, D, E minor 7 chord. What all the great jazz players has discovered is that the arpeggios often sound the best played from the 3rd. And this directly leads me into upper structures. How does this work? Well, you have the C major chord, the C major 7, C, E, G, B. When you take away the C and play the chord from the E, so you play the E, G, B, D, you get the upper structure, the E minor 7 upper structure. But basically, you're just playing the C major chord. And then you have the 9th on top, the D. Playing the 9th on top of this phrase gives it an open sound instead of just sticking to the basics. Start using these upper structures. Play the chords from the 3rd because they are the same chords. When you're using the upper structures, you're playing the same chords, the C major, but playing the C major 9. And you are getting this 9th, this add-on, and it sounds so beautiful. Play the E minor 7, get a C major 9. And exactly this is what Hank Mobley is showing us in this lick. Here he is using the full C major 9 chord. So yes, you can use the C major 9, the E minor 7 to play the same chord. But here, instead of using that D sharp as a leading tone into that E minor, he's using the C as a leading tone into the E minor. And in this way he gets a bigger chord structure. Charlie Parker. Let's look into how Charlie Parker uses these 7th chords. Still, it's just plain 7 chords he uses. But if you could take this style of Charlie Parker and just add it into your playing, it would be amazing. You would sound so good. Looking at this solo of Charlie Parker on confirmation in G for the tenor key, I see all kinds of different ways that Charlie Parker is using these arpeggios. But the very first thing that springs into mind is that Charlie Parker is using rhythm differently. Parker's first arpeggio line on confirmation is something like this. I put it into the key of C, and the phrase simply takes you up and down the C major chord, but with an added chromatic approach note in front of it. A small sidestep on working this technique out when you want these arpeggios into your playing. I always make up these exercises of the material I'm playing, so I want to dig deeper into the material. This means I need to learn it in my fingers and my ears. And a great way to do this is make small exercises. I added all these exercises from all the licks in the video into the lesson manual. So if you really want to deep dive into these arpeggios, you should truly go to Patreon and download this week's lesson manual. It's right there. The link to Patreon and the download is below in the description. Charlie Parker's rhythm keeps amazing me. How Charlie Parker plays these simple arpeggio lines and just adds a bit of rhythm and boom. Here you see Charlie Parker using the E minor upper structure, but he puts a little chromatic note in front of it like Hank Mobley, and he changes the rhythm. So basically he's doing the same as Hank Mobley, but still changing the rhythm all the time. If I have to give you the best tip on playing upper structures, it's this. This is a bit of a mental exercise. So when you're playing these upper structures, start from the third of each chord, but think the full chord. So you start thinking C major 9, but you're playing the E minor 7. C major 9, E minor 7. So I'm leaving out the root of the chord. The same with the D minor. You're playing D minor 9, but I'm playing F major 7. Start thinking like this to get these upper structures thoroughly into your fingers and your ears and your brains. Coltrane came out of the same jazz tradition as Parker and Hank Mobley. So he did what we all do, listen to the greats of the time and then make it your own. Compared to the examples of Mobley and Parker, Coltrane played descending arpeggios here. It's simple as that. Just train your arpeggios descending and add them into your playing. But Coltrane did more than that. He also changed the progression, so sometimes he would play G7, D minor into C, instead of the normal D minor G7 C. So he'll change where the arpeggio is, but still using these simple arpeggios, either the upper structures or the normal basic chords. When you want to dig into this turned around Coltrane trick, you should experiment with licks like this. I'm playing the G7 first, and then I'm going into an F major chord. The F major chord is the upper structure of the D minor 9 chord. And then I resolve into the C, of course. Dig deeper, because in the lesson manual you have a lot of these opposite Coltrane licks. Download it, check it in the link below. I want to give you some extra great strategies on these upper structures, because that's such an interesting sound. There are some tricks that you can get this into your playing and manipulate these sounds in a great way. So this lick, what am I actually playing here? I would love for you to leave a comment on this in the comment section, because I would like to know your opinion on this. What do you hear and how do you express this? How do you write this down? So my interpretation is, I'm just playing C major. I'm playing an E minor 7, I'm playing a G7, and then I'm going into C major. But the whole thing is C major. But there's this. And this is a little bit of a super deep dive, because in the second half of the first bar I play this G7, but it's just the upper structure of C. But when I play this G7 as an upper structure, I get this leading effect into the last bar, the C major chord again. I get this FAC, so kind of a dominant effect into the C. So that's also what the upper structures do. They lead you different places, they put the progression differently. So in this example I play the E minor 7 and I play the G7, both upper structures of C of course. And you hear the same effect that I lead into the C because I play these upper structures. So you get inner functionalities, you get an inner progression moving towards that C. And this is very exciting about the upper structures, because that E minor 7 in the last bar actually sounds like leading tones going into C. So what can I say? Use these great 7th chords to get amazing vocabulary. There's so many ways you can manipulate them and add them into your playing, using leading tones, using upper structures, using different functions. I put an amazing bunch of exercises and licks together in the lesson manual on Patreon. You should really take this deep dive into this material. It will elevate everything you play. All is found in the lesson manual on Patreon. All 60 pages of examples and exercises. Go to the link below in the description and download the whole thing. The best way to learn music is learn music by ear. Through the playing of Dexter Gordon, I take you into how you can learn everything by ears. Jazz phrases, jazz tunes, jazz chords. You need to check out this video. It's important. Play music, have fun.